Way back in 1539, Hernando de Soto settled in an area now known as Safety Harbor. He claimed to have found the Fountain of Youth. Ironically, this natural mineral spring is now buried under this building. Another example of people messing up a good thing for financial gains. Inside this building, a spa, capitalizing on De Soto's claim that this is the site for eternal youth. There's a whole community of us. Actually, you may consider yourself as one of us. We're tree people. We take extraordinary measures to preserve iconic parts of our history. I'm talking about historic trees. The massive tree that resides just in front of De Soto's Fountain of Youth is in dire need. This tree has had a major reduction in photosynthetic capacity. In layman's terms, this tree is losing leaves. The problems are usually not related to the leaves at all. The problem is in the roots. The population growth of Safety Harbor presents problems for the history that attracts millions of people to it. Parking spaces covering majority of the root system. This minimizes the infiltration rate of water and nutrients, also reducing gas exchange, which causes an anaerobic environment, essentially suffocating the tree's roots. We tree people, some of us certified arborists, are proposing the removal of a few parking spaces, allowing a central room to amend the soils and give this historic tree that resides just in front of the Fountain of Youth a little more longevity. We make connections with trees. I wonder if someone had an epiphany after touching this tree. It's known as the Tree of Knowledge. So I figured it couldn't hurt, and I touched it. I couldn't find any information on this Tree of Knowledge. When I searched for it, it just kept showing me the barn-off oak, this tree. And this tree has a history with us, tree people. It was under significant threat, just like that oak tree in front of the Fountain of Youth. Not too long ago, it resided on private property, and they wanted to cut many of the main leaders off so they could build a new building there. Tree people of the city hated this idea, so they suggested selling the property. And that's just what they did. For over $1 million, this tree was sold with the property around it. Buying the tree didn't do anything for it other than ensuring that nobody would ever cut major leaders off. The tree needed a lot more work than that. It was sparsely foliated like the one in front of the Fountain of Youth. So they wanted to preserve the integrity of each of these major leaders. They did so by bracing them. The live oak limbs had been elevated for so many years that they'd never been able to rest on the ground like you want to see a big live oak do. That's why they did what they call propping. They also used a pretty unique newer tool to the industry called an air spade, to which they are able to excavate the roots without damaging them, loosening the compacted soils and replacing it with more organic and more nutritious soils. Also structured soils that don't compact under pressure. They also built a fence around this tree to prevent people from going in there and potentially causing damage to a historic tree like this. I imagine if you live in Clearwater or consider yourself a tree person and live in Clearwater, then you know about the barn-off oak. But it's not the only large oak that's in this area. The city has dubbed this area the Museum of Trees. There's 3 other great granddaddy live oaks here. This one here is known as the cross-legged oak. This tree exhibits a contorted root system, what us certified arborists know as girdling roots. It's not necessarily a good thing. It actually can inhibit the growth of these trees when they get old like this. Or this other stunning oak, the elf oak. I mean, its massive root flare just blew me away. Or this oak that leans over that building. But the elf oak was certainly my favorite oak tree. There's a story behind the elf oak. The elf oak's foundation started on a shell mound. They harvested all the shells and built the roadways we see here, and it's no question why they call it the elf oak. Just look up under there, it's like a little elf's home. Well, really, a person fits under there just fine. The original buttressing root system has been totally exposed. Only the sinker roots now act as its new foundation. Essentially, this tree has been perched, kind of like one of those little tables inside of your pizza box, if the tabletop was the original buttressing roots. I want to say thank you to all my tree people out there, and we'll see you next time right here in the great outdoors. I'm your host Alex, the Florida Wildlife Guy, also ISA certified arborist. Peace.